So we're in the car here, in the Model 3, talking about safety features.
Oh yeah.
So about 40,000 people die almost every year from car accidents, and so it's a big deal because it puts a lot of strain on the emergency department because a lot of the people die in the hospital, and they mention a lot of safety features. What do you know about the safety features so far?
Well, I mean, obviously it's got airbags galore on front and side, so it's not so much that, but one of the things I love about Teslas in general is that they're extremely safe, and it's one of the other reasons, like one of the 15,000 reasons I wanted to get one, is because the reason they're so safe is because they don't typically have an engine block right in front of you. So if there's ever a head-on collision, which is probably one of the worst collisions you can get into, normally in any regular car, your engine, which is mounted in the front, it'll essentially go straight into the cockpit where your knees and your chest are. So it's always a big issue if you're having an accident and they have to try to move that. But in a Tesla, the battery is on the floorboard, and the engines are also very low mounted to the side. So if you're ever in a head-on collision, the whole front, there's actually a trunk in the front that will essentially collapse in the case of a head-on collision, so that pretty much the front end is just crumple zone and you're safe inside.
Oh wow! And I read about these sensors they have on the car. It seems like Elon Musk decided on going with ultrasonic sensors, so radio waves instead of LiDAR sensors with lights.
Right. So he believes that he can solve the self-driving problem just using a combination of cameras and ultrasonics. LiDAR, since it has to sweep around, he feels that if it doesn't catch something at the right time, it's not going to give you the information you need. And plus, cameras are cheaper. It's a lot easier to add a whole bunch of cameras versus a whole bunch of LiDAR sensors. I mean, price in LiDAR is coming down, but it's still not where it needs to be for it to be very easy for adoption.
Right.
But there's sensors all over the car. Cameras are everywhere. I think there's like a total of 6 cameras on the car for when they eventually enable self-driving.
He's already extracting data from all the cars right now, so he has a jump on all the companies.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he knows how safe the ultrasonic sensors are.
So what he does is he takes all that information. He essentially has all the cars that he has out there. They're running their full self-driving mode, but it's running in a shadow mode. So it's running in the background. It's actually not making any actions. And he's taking all this sensory information that he gets from the cameras, from the ultrasonic sensors, and he takes those and determines, okay, if a car was to make this decision, would it have made the right one? And he's using that to get a head start on his self-driving program.
Interesting. What do you think about the cameras on the outside? Does that bother you that other people can see that there's cameras on the car?
It doesn't bother me so much because right now there's a lot of people who have cameras on their car already that aren't Teslas. There's countless people who have dash cams who use it for their own personal use. Now, that being said, the fact that Tesla has cameras in my car and they're constantly monitoring, it's a pro and a con. I can see from a security aspect that there's this company that's able to watch every single thing that I do. But on the other hand, it's also excellent because I have a car that's very, very difficult for people to steal, or if there's ever an accident, Tesla has all the information to where they can show that hopefully I'm not at fault. Right. And they can show exactly what happened, or if something failed in my car, they have all the cameras they need. They can troubleshoot and figure that out. And their service department is extremely good at taking care of that.
Okay. What about these fires, crashes? I have to ask you about that. Are you worried about it?
Not at all. I actually, as I was waiting to take delivery of my Tesla, I was constantly looking at all of the news and all the crashes, and what I started to notice that there's a trend for a whole bunch of the crashes, especially the ones involving Autopilot.
Okay.
And really what it comes down to is drivers who are either uneducated about Autopilot or they're just using their car improperly. A lot of people, one of the first things say, "Whoa, the Autopilot, self-driving stuff, whatever. Are you okay with all the accidents that have happened?" Right. And I have to educate them to say that first off, Autopilot isn't a car drives itself system. It's a driver assist. And there are actually a lot of other cars on the road, from Mercedes, from Cadillac, that have these type of programs, and all of them are designed to assist you while driving rather than take over for you completely. And when you understand that, you understand its limitations, you feel a whole lot safer with it than without it. So, for example, Autopilot is not something I want to use on a road that has stoplights, because it'll follow the car in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
but it can't recognize stoplights at the current
Mm-hmm.
moment, and it can't really recognize complete stationary objects because it's designed for operating at a highway speed where there's
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of completely stationary objects that are on an 80-mile-an-hour road.
Right, right.
So if you have autopilot engaged while you're on a street that has stoplights and it's following a car and the light turns red and the car jumps ahead and makes it, autopilot will take you straight through that red light because it can't notice it. And that actually happened in one of the cases where a user was using on a road that had stoplights. And a lot of people, well, autopilot pretty much killed the person. Like, no, the person was not using autopilot correctly.
So it's a human error, really,
Correct.
Mixed with the machine doing the right thing, what it's designed to do.
Right.
It's just not designed yet to do that.
Right, and even
Okay.
when you're on highways, again, it's a driver assist, so you still need to pay attention. And it even tells you that it wants you to have your hands on the wheel. It wants you to be paying attention to the road. But a couple of the other features that I thought were cool that they added in the update were they added a speed limit feature. So where if you have, let's say you're lending your car out to your kids, and you know that your car has a lot of power and you don't want it to go too fast, you can actually go pull out the app and you can limit the speed that the car can be driven. So once it hits that speed, the car will just not go any faster than that. So if you have like a 17, 18-year-old who's going to go to the store, they have a permit, and you don't want them going 100 miles an hour to the store, you can go ahead and you know the roads there are like 50 miles an hour. You can just limit the car to 60 miles an hour in the app. He goes and you'll know that the car will not allow him to go past it because it requires a passcode to override.
Right. And then there's this other feature that they have where it limits the temperature inside the vehicle to 105. Just in case you left a kid in the car, a dog in the car, or something like that.
Oh yeah.
That's a new feature, I think, correct?
Yep, that's a new feature. It'll allow the car to maintain at a certain temperature for about 12 hours or so.